Alright guys, I just took a shower about an hour ago, so feeling pretty good. I took like a 2-hour nap, or I think it was 2 hours, I'm not sure how long it was. But yeah, feeling okay. One thing before I forget to talk about it is currently I'm dealing with some Wi-Fi issues, and that's the other really important thing, obviously, if you're gonna spend 14 days in quarantine, to have solid Wi-Fi and internet. So right now what's going on is I'll show you, these are the speeds I'm getting right now. I don't know if you can see that well, hopefully you can. But 0.21 download and 9.75 upload, which is good. I'll take that for the upload speed. But 0.21, I was getting better speed, a little bit better speeds than that, but it was disconnecting every 10 minutes. And so for about 30 seconds every 10 minutes it was disconnecting. So I tried restarting this little router thing that's behind my TV. Maybe I'll show that in just a second. And that made it worse. So yeah, I'll have to give a call to the front desk. I don't know how to do that. I'll record myself doing that as well, so you can see me go through that experience, calling the front desk and someone who doesn't speak enough Korean, and see how that process will go. I'm a little worried about this Wi-Fi because yeah, I need it. Like it's not just like a desire, like I just would like it, but I need it, you know, because I'm still doing ministry these next 2 weeks. So I need to be able to hop on Zoom, and I was gonna plan to do live streams. And so yeah, a little bit worried about it, but not too worried since it's my first day, and I haven't interacted yet with the staff, so I don't know how accommodating or helpful they're gonna be. That's the little update I wanted to give before I talk about other things. So I'm gonna talk about everything that happened from the time that I left SFO to get into this hotel. And then after that, I will show you how I'm gonna unpack and reorganize this room. I have some ideas on how to reorganize, but still debating because it's the one window. I wanna maximize this sunlight during the day and try to get some natural light on myself. It's a little bit tough. I'm kind of in a pickle right now, but yeah, let's do this part first. So I'm gonna kind of speed through some of the parts that I feel like aren't that important, and you could always watch some other people's videos. There's just a ton of quarantine videos out there already, and you could watch those. Basically, from the time I left SFO, really nothing to it, nothing out of the ordinary for me. When I was at the Korean Air desk, the worker there did ask me, and he did have me initial and sign something, I do believe, that said I was aware that if I needed to stay in the government mandated quarantine, or in the government facility for quarantine, I'm gonna be responsible for paying for that. That was kind of the only thing I remember from that paper. I signed that. SFO was a little bit of a ghost town, not much going on there. The plane was not that full. I would say capacity wise, maybe 40% out of all the seats available. I had my whole 3 seats to myself, and as did many people. Many people had the 3 seats to themselves, and just a few places, maybe more actually, in like, so I was sitting in just the regular economy, then there's like kind of like economy plus. There were some more people kind of grouped in that area. I guess they're more frequent Korean Air flyers, and so maybe they have that a little status or whatever that gets you the slightly better seat. But I guess in this case, it was a little bit better not to have the status because one, you didn't really need to board much quicker than people because there weren't many people, and there was a little bit more space in the regular economy. And so the plane ride itself was pretty seamless. It's my second time taking that flight in 2 years. So it's my second time in my life flying to Korea, and it was pretty easy, nothing to it. I would say this one was probably easier because the first time flying for that long did tire me out quite a bit, but this time I slept a lot. I slept maybe 8 out of the 12 or so hours of the flight. I've been really sleepy the past few days, and I think either I was kind of coming down with a cold, and maybe I still kind of am, or it was just because I've been on this pretty strict eating plan, and I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit. Maybe a separate video. I'm gonna make an alternate day fasting video, or just like what I do. I need to start that back tomorrow, or actually basically today's dinner will be my final meal for 36 hours. I'm gonna keep my food in the fridge in the meantime, and I have this little food warmer thing to heat the food back up, and so I'll show that in a separate video probably. But anyway, landing in Incheon, I'm trying to remember what happened. Not much from the time that you walk off the plane. Like as soon as you walk off the plane, there's just like a long corridor. You're walking down, and then you kind of get down to the end of that corridor, and then there are a bunch of people there waiting to help you get through the process. You had to download this app, and that's pretty easy. You just like take out your phone, point it with your camera. Your camera will recognize the QR code. You'll download the app. You'll start going through the app. And so here's, I guess, I'll mention that there was some confusion here because I knew I was going to be staying in a government facility. I mean, quote unquote facility. This is just a hotel. But I knew I was going to be doing that for the quarantine for my 14 days. But the papers that you get on the plane that you can fill out before you get to the desk or get to the area where you need to submit those papers, it asks you for an address, like the quarantine address. And I left it blank because I was like, well, I don't know what the quarantine address is because I will get assigned a hotel once I arrive. I was thinking I would put my fiance's address there, but I didn't want there to be confusion that I was planning to stay there for my quarantine. I will be going there, or like I guess visiting there after my quarantine, but I didn't want there to be confusion that I'm actually staying there and then they expect me to go there. And yeah, I didn't want to create that confusion, so I left it blank. I don't know what that first desk is called, but the worker there, he was confused on why I didn't put an address, and I was trying to explain to him I need to stay in a government facility for the 14 days, not go to an address of my relative or my fiance or somebody. He was really confused on that, so we were typing back and forth on our phones, like during the translation app. And I mean, like that can happen. That's okay, but we still weren't quite understanding each other. Shout out to Papago. I would say it's my Korean English to Korean or Korean to English app of choice. It's better than Google Translate in my opinion. At least my fiance says it is. Like when I translate stuff from English to Korean, she says it's better from Papago. So anyway, little plug, not a sponsor, Papago. So yeah, he was confused. He had to get his supervisor to help him understand like what the situation was. It was also a little confusing because at first he was like, oh, okay, well if you don't have an address, I can't let you leave the airport. And like, of course I understood that, but then he was like, okay, well here's like a kind of like a brochure for a hotel that you could book a room. And so I was really confused. I was like, what? Like, is that an option? Like, was that always an option that I could have just booked my own hotel and just provided the information and prove my reservation? Like, if that was an option, that would be wonderful. And I really wish, if it actually is an option, like as of today, I really wish that I would have known that, because then I could have planned this better. I could have chosen a hotel that's closer to my fiance, room that I want, and I could have just checked everything myself, rather than just show up and get assigned a place, which is what happened. So anyway, it did get eventually sorted out, but I feel like out of the 3 or 4 different people I talked to, at least the first 2 were still it made me feel like something's not clear in the process. So I was a little worried that I wasn't communicating the right thing, or they weren't understanding me the right way. But by the 3rd or 4th person, I was like, okay, it seems like, this is the normal process. I got this lanyard that had a red placard, just showing that, from what I could see, there's people who got yellow ones. I think the yellow ones were either Korean nationals, or a lot of Filipino people. I guess they're here on a work visa. And so for those people, they got a yellow placard. For just the short-term people who were gonna stay, like myself, like Americans, we all had the red placard. I waited about, wasn't long, maybe 45 minutes in a waiting area. And after we waited there for a little while, we boarded a bus, and it was maybe a 20-minute or 25-minute bus ride to this hotel, and even when we arrived here, I wasn't sure what was going on. I didn't know, like, is this a processing facility? I didn't know it was a hotel. I couldn't tell from inside my bus. And so once we got indoors, I realized, okay, this is actually a hotel. And so still I wasn't clear, like, is this the hotel that I'm gonna be staying at, or is this just the hotel where they process us and send us out to the various other places? Once we got in here, it was a little chaotic, and like, I totally get it. It's not an easy job to have all these foreigners come in and you're trying to communicate stuff to them in your second language. You're trying to make an orderly process. And so I totally get that part of it. It just did feel a little chaotic, and it definitely felt like we were sheep being herded, cattle being herded, like, okay, go here, go here, go here. Kind of even like being slightly yelled at, like, hey, you know. Just a little tidbit for anyone. I guess you probably wouldn't be watching this video if you're a Korean worker. Okay, this kind of happened in the airport too. I would just recommend, hey is probably it's an effective word to get someone's attention, but it could also stress somebody out. Like, you hear someone yelling at you, hey, it can make you feel like, whoa, like I did something wrong. And so just a little piece of advice, I guess, for any Korean worker who's trying to get the attention of somebody. I did also hear a lot of excuse me's and sir, even when it was a woman. Like, excuse me, sir, like, don't go over there, come over here, even when it's a woman. And that's great. Just maybe another piece of advice would be, you want to get someone's attention, but you also want to say why you're getting their attention. And that's hard. I totally get that if it's your second language. But it would be something like, excuse me, sir, your card, or excuse me, sir, that's not the right way. Just giving the reason at the same time, because then that person can process, oh, they're talking to me, and I know why they're talking to me. Okay. Anyway, yeah, once we got here, I had to download a different app, put in my information on the app, and then you have to erase the other app that you downloaded at the airport. And so I don't really understand that process, but that's just how it is. So you erase the one that you filled out at the airport. You did a check-in already at the airport. You erase that one once you've downloaded the second one. And so did that. I did my COVID test, and I would say, yeah, definitely uncomfortable. I mean, this is my second time getting it, and for anyone who's already had their COVID test, it's pretty much what you would expect. But from what I've heard, and I think it was true, Korean people, they tend to go much further into the nose, and they push a little bit harder into the nose, and so it's a little bit more uncomfortable. So yeah, will make you maybe cough. I coughed. I think I was one of them who coughed. I didn't hear anyone else who was coughing, so maybe I'm a little more sensitive. Did the COVID test, you sit down, you fill out another form that is asking you about your food allergies. And I thought about putting on there about my fruit stuff, but I just felt like at the end of the day, they're probably gonna either just give it to me, or they're gonna get confused and just give me no fruit products either. Like, I didn't want them to, like, if there's juice, like, to skip out on the juice when usually I can still drink juice because it's pasteurized or it's artificial or whatever. I just can't have raw produce. And so I just felt, while I'll be wasting some food, I'd rather do that than create some confusion. Because I watched a video of a girl who just asked for no breakfast every day, and they got confused and basically didn't give her food for a couple of days, and she was like kind of living off cup ramyeon. And I felt like, yeah, I don't want to create confusion. I'll deal with the confusion or the burden of, like, I guess, well, it's not a burden, but getting rid of food on my end, rather than them not giving me stuff that I could have eaten on their end. Yep. So that's basically the whole process getting here. I had to bring my stuff up to my room, and just that little last bit was pretty funny. They were like handing me back, here's your breakfast, and I had to carry something else too. So I'm already like struggling to carry all my luggage because I have 2 big bags, one carry-on bag, and my big backpack. So I just kind of had my carry-on bag kind of balancing on top of my hand as I'm rolling my big luggage on one hand, and then my other big luggage here, and then carrying the breakfast, and then my backpack. It was a little bit of a struggle just getting in, but made it in okay. Just got in the room, and now I have to get settled in here. So there's a lot to do to get organized in here. I'm still feeling tired. Don't know if it's the time change. I don't know if it's because I was already feeling a little tired before the plane ride the past couple days. Don't know if it's because I'm slightly getting sick. So it could be a combination of all of the above. Don't really know, but I'm gonna try to stay moving because I don't want to sleep a lot during the day and end up staying up all night and just never get into the rhythm of, or like I'm sure I would, but just take too long to get into the rhythm of sleeping here. I think that's what I'll do today. Today's the day to get organized. I'll show you guys that process.